I love when a character design can tell you a lot about them, either something about their personality or backstory, occupation, etc. So when thinking of how I wanted curses to work in my world, I wanted them to be an excuse for me to show even more of a character. So what if instead of just being random debuffs, curses manifest a victim's deep insecurities and fears into physical traits, making each curse unique to the victim? Now, you can go as abstract or symbolic as you want with this, turning a character's shyness and fear of social interaction into a curse that slowly makes them sink into their own ribcage like a turtle, or just go straight forward and say, well, they encountered a horrifying insectoid witch. It'd be fair to say the thing they feared was that witch, so they could just be cursed to turn into a bug. Meaning I get the best of both worlds, curses that mimic the witch's traits, or when I want to, more symbolic curses that can tell you more about the character. But before we continue, this is officially our first sponsored video. Yippee! I'm being sponsored by XPPen, and to celebrate their 19th anniversary, they have sent me the Artist Pro 19 Gen 2 drawing tablet to review. All the drawings in this video are done on that tablet, and at the end of the video, I'll share my thoughts on it. Also, there is a link in the description below to the product page, and you can use code MONLENS5 for a 5% discount. Anyway, there's so much potential in spicing up any character design by sprinkling in curses that hint at their state of mind or thoughts. So, let me share some of those examples while also giving you some lore about witches and what happens to those who get cursed. Witches are not rogue mages, nor are they normal magic users. People just sort of turn into witches. First, symptoms appear like a cold or flu, slowly escalating into strange things happening around them. Crops not growing, rodents and bugs behaving weirdly, but then, all of a sudden, they will, what I will for now refer to as, bloom, like a flower. This corrupts and curses everything around them. Sometimes the witch themselves don't even survive this process, which is how we got our hands on this specimen. But if they do, that is how a witch emerges. And from that point onwards, they will only get worse the longer they are left unchecked. But how does this happen to someone in the first place? Well, Ram and Varus, the countries at war, surprise surprise, don't agree on what witches are. The high churches of Varus believe that witches are people that have fallen to the temptations of Yorm. Yorm is the god of magic imprisoned within the earth and the primary motivation to Ram's pilgrimage, but Varus, on the other hand, portrays the god of magic as chaotic and evil, sort of like a devil figure, tempting and luring people to join him with magic and power. As a little side note, well then, why does Varus allow themselves to use magic if they believe it to be of the devil? Well, they believe themselves to be like a fish, nibbling the bait off of a hook without getting caught. They are besting the devil by taking advantage of magic without falling to its temptations. But sometimes the whispers of Yorm come to those in need and tempt them, beckoning them. When they accept, that's when they become witches, and Varus sees them as traitors to the church. All Varusians are to inform the high churches of any suspicious activity, for they will send the high church's witch hunters to deal with it, by performing elaborate rituals to seal away Yorm. Though their response time can sometimes be a little slow, and it is not forced but highly encouraged to pay these witch hunters for their services, so occasionally Varusians would rather take the issue into their own hands, even though that is discouraged from the church. The accursed of Varus, therefore, are also seen as traitors, tainted by Yorm, but still able to think for themselves. They are usually sent to prisons or forced to work in quarries and mines, as it is believed that their connection with Yorm will make them dig better, like those Ram mole men, until they inevitably succumb to their curses, at which point they are burned the same way as all traitors of the church. But Rom, on the other hand, believes that witches are restless souls, left to fester on the mortal plane until they turn into vengeful spirits, possessing people in the attempts to be buried properly. And they believe Varus perpetuates that by burning their bodies and leaving their souls to float around aimlessly and fester. Rom believes once people pass, their spirit needs to be guided down to the center of the earth by a fox statue placed with their body to join back with Yorm. The slow journey through the earth and soil cleanses them of sin and memories, like water filtering through sediment, and eventually they will join Yorm and be born anew. A long time ago, Rom used to bury their witches properly, to hopefully appease the spirit, but it corrupted the soil, the festering spirit believed to be too far gone to join back with Yorm. So instead, they created witch tiers, casted concrete prisons to house witches, suspending their bodies above the ground with gallows, never to be reincarnated again. Nowadays, after Rom's military witch hunters disbanded, people's ways of spotting and dealing with witches became muddled. People took witch hunting into their own hands, disjointed mercenary groups and townsfolk making up their own rules and signs for who is a witch and who isn't, strange rituals and beliefs wildly differing from each other from village to village. But one thing stayed consistent. Those filthy witches were stuffed into witch tiers and hung on gallows, now often in the open, in the middle of towns to send a message. The problem with witches is that you want to catch a witch before they bloom, because that is when they become dangerous. But there isn't a reliable way of telling if someone is a witch pre-bloom. And people are very afraid. Actually, in general, the most frightening thing about witches is how little we understand about them, and how they break people's understanding of magic. That's where the bleeding belfries comes in. Rom people fear witches, and in turn fear those who have been cursed by them, oftentimes shunning and ostracizing them, or sometimes they even befall the same fate as witches. Where can these accursed go? The bleeding belfries, a place for folk such as yourself. If you're still able to, you will be put to work, but pay is fair and food is good. Care will be taken of your condition as best we can, and if you aren't able to work, then you will be taken care of either way. The Bleeding Belfries is a previously abandoned Varusian monastery on the outskirts of the war that has been refitted into a settlement for the accursed, funded by Rom and looked over by somebody called Tondri. They are the producers of blood honey, a very valuable drug used by Rom to numb the senses, but also the only witch research facility. They pay witch hunters to retrieve witches and witch tears for research, but also to inform and teach people how to properly tend with curses and protect against them, which has been an uphill battle, due to Rom's people's general stubbornness, but also mistrust of witch hunters. Tondri and the Bleeding Belfries have drastically furthered Rom's understanding of curses and witches, but also a lot of questions are still left unanswered. How did witches start appearing? What exactly are curses, and how exactly do curses spread? Either way, Rom is eager to keep funding Tondri's research in the chance that it may be able to be used in the war. The question of what post-bloom witches look like still stands. Mainly, that's because I'm still working on designing them. I'm sorry that it will have to wait for the next video, but I want the designs to be fully cooked, and also because it's such a large topic and so intertwined with all of Rust and Trenches, it is hard to cover. Even in this video, I had to cut out loads. I want to set the atmosphere of the Bleeding Belfries, or share their way of living, or get to know Tondri more, or what they have discovered from researching witches and curses, or talk about Rom's weaponizing of curses. It's all quite a lot, and I think it is very interesting, so I hope I'll be able to cover all of it in future videos. Now, to get to the review of the tablet. It took me a bit to get used to it because I never used a screen tablet before, but after a while I did and drew the same as I always have. I recorded some unboxing footage, but as you might be able to tell, it's terrible. I don't have the light nor the camera to be able to capture the tablet in all its glory, so I'll link you a proper unboxing video in the description below if you want to see it done the right way. I don't know much of what the numbers on this paper mean. All I know is that this thing is massive, which is great if you want that, and if you have the desk to accommodate it. I don't, so I have the thing sitting on my lap, or it blocks half my monitor. The screen is 4K and the colors are vibrant and apparently very accurate. It has 16K levels of pressure sensitivity, which I mean, at a certain point I can't even tell anymore. But overall, the tablet and everything that comes with it is absolutely gorgeous. The tablet itself feels solid. You get 2 pens and nibs to last you a lifetime, an extra little shortcut keypad with the most satisfying turny wheelie thingy. Okay, look, if you're looking for a really fancy big old screen tablet with all the bits and bobs you could ever wish for, maybe look into the Artist Pro 19 Gen 2. Of course, do your own research, and if you think it's worth the price, there is a link in the description below and a discount code MONLENS5 so that it's even more worth it. Thank you to XPPen for sponsoring the video, and thank you to my patrons as always for allowing me to make this possible. Take care.
Here's the tablet. Oh my god. I didn't have a desk big enough to fit it or have any sort of camera setup, so I'm just doing it on the floor. Okay. This is how they do it, right? Look at that. Beauty. This is totally how the professional channels do it. So they should hire me as a. Oh, look at that! Look at that! There you go. Oh, fuck! I spat on it. Shit! First reveal of the screen, already spit on it. Oh, what a beauty!